Hello and welcome to this FIP digital event. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to you, wherever you are joining us from. Welcome to those joining us live and to those listening after as well. I am Dr. Sylvain Grenier, the president of the Military and Emergency Pharmacy section. And I have as a co-moderator with me today, Dalia Bashis, Senior Program Lead at FIP in Netherlands. Today, a bit of housekeeping. The webinar is being recorded and live streamed via YouTube. The recording will be made available on our website at events.fip.org. You may have questions using the questions box provided. You're also welcome to provide feedback to webinars@fip.org. And if you would like to become a member of FIP, please visit our website. Also, a quick note that this webinar will be translated in Turkish as well. Today, we are joined by a very competent and impressive panel of great speakers. I want to sincerely thank each of them for taking the time to prepare their presentation. So joining us today, we have Sam Okeyo, and the introductions will be made a little bit later with a little bit more detail. We also have Ahmad Amro, Abda Alamin, and Mohammed Ali Al-Naziri. Today, August 19, is a World Humanitarian Day, a yearly campaign by the United Nations Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs, OCHA. World Humanitarian Day is a day dedicated to recognizing and honoring the remarkable contribution of humanitarian workers across the globe. This day is particularly important as we reflect on the numerous humanitarian crises affecting communities worldwide. These crises, whether caused by natural disasters, conflicts, or pandemics, have profound impacts on communities, often leaving them in dire need of support and assistance. Humanitarian workers are the unsung heroes who step into these challenging crises, usually risking their lives to provide essential services and care to those in need. We would like to recognize the effort of all healthcare workers, particularly pharmacists, who often find themselves at the forefront of these crises, demonstrating unwavering support, dedication, and compassion toward their communities. According to OCHA, 2023 was the deadliest year on record for humanitarian workers. For that reason, this year's campaign, Act for Humanity, is a call to action to confront the normalization of attacks on civilians, including humanitarian and impunity under international humanitarian law, demanding an end to these violations and the impunity with which their conflict are committed. Now I would like to take a few moments of silence in memory of those pharmacists who have lost their life in conflicts and humanitarian settings over the past year. Thank you for this. Now going to the agenda. We've already covered some welcomes and introductions, and we will have an introduction also in an overview of the Humanity RX program. This will then be followed by presentations from our panelists. First, we will start with Sam, followed by Ahmad, Abda, and then we will finish with Mohammed. Then we will have a Q&A session, and we will wrap up and do the conclusions at that point. For the objectives, we are here to provide an overview of the educational and professional pathway of pharmacists involved in humanitarian crisis. facilitate an interactive exploration with invited guests during the session, focusing on their perspectives around the role pharmacists play in crisis, discuss the recovery process from the perspective of pharmacists, encompassing both professional and personal aspects, and finally showcase efforts exerted by international bodies and NGOs, including FIP in humanitarian and emergency settings. Now I'll pass it over to Dalia from FIP, who will be covering a bit more on this webinar.
Thank you so much, Sylvain, my dear colleague, and welcome our dear attendees, colleagues from all around the world. We have a number of you live today, and I hope those of you listening afterwards will also enjoy, but also are provided with an opportunity to reflect on this very important day that we commemorate, the World Humanitarian Day. And as my colleague Sylvain already reflected on the importance of such a day in this day and age, and whilst it's crucial for us to reflect together on the crisis, loss of life, and to highlight the significant struggles faced by healthcare providers, including pharmacists, in conflict and disaster areas, I think this is an ideal day or an ideal moment to also recognize the heroic role that healthcare providers, including pharmacists, have or embark upon in humanitarian settings. These providers are often the only lifeline for affected populations, providing essential medicines, medical care and support. And their dedication and the sacrifices that they make in the face of danger highlight the urgent need for our collective global recognition and protection of their rights and safety. Today, in my role as Senior Program Lead at FIP, and I'm privileged to be supported by my colleagues at FIP to run the Humanity RX program that focuses on our efforts on a global level to support our members and our colleagues from around the world with their needs and their priorities in such crisis. As FIP is the global professional body that represents pharmacy and pharmacists and educators and scientists from around the world. I'm here to present you with an overview on the Humanity RX program at FIP, including its initiatives and activities and some of the examples by which FIP supports its members. So I'm delighted to be with you all today. Thanks. It gives me a great honor to introduce my team members who are supporting this program and managing it and also supporting this particular webinar. My colleague Noor Tahla, who is the Equity and Humanitarian Program Manager, as well as my colleague Ruben Viagas, who is the Sustainability and Humanitarian Program Manager, and Hanadi Al-Anoui, who is not with us today, but she's the FIP Equity, Humanitarian and Sustainability Projects Coordinator. Thank you. On your slide, you see a list of FIP's priority programs for this year. And you can see on top there as number 3, the humanitarian program, which has been rebranded into Humanity RX, is one of our global health priorities, just highlighting the significance and FIP's commitment to link up to this particular area of need, where our pharmacists serve the public and serve humanity. Again, the reason it was rebranded as Humanity RX is just really for us to emphasize that humanity, compassion, collegiality is what binds us all after all. And I am delighted that I'm able to present to you some of the initiatives and the activities that we run under the Humanity RX program. Next slide, please. Thank you. Before I do so, a lot of you might be familiar with this colorful set of tiles, our FIP development goals. There's 21 of them. And the humanity program links up to potentially all of them, but primarily it links up to development goal number 10 on equity and equality. It also links up to our development goal number 15 about providing people-centered care, patient safety, but it also links up to sustainability, access to medicines and services, as well as providing our pharmacists and pharmacy teams with opportunities to for professional development and continuing education. So it really cross-cuts a lot of these development goals, as you can imagine. Thank you. In this program, we have an array of activities and resources, and I must really emphasize that these activities and resources are member-led, they are member-driven, they are needs-based, they are assessed based on our members' needs and priorities, I should say, so they're assessment-based as well, so that we're able to provide tailored approaches, tailored responses to our member organizations. But in addition to that, we do provide some resources that would be applicable to the wider profession, such as the global humanitarian framework and the fact that it has now been translated into a number of languages. My colleagues will support in the chat box to provide you with links to where you can access and download this excellent resource that can support professional development, can also support identifying some of the knowledge areas that might be needed in teaching our pharmacy undergraduate students, for example, or maybe for competency development, or even can be used by organizations to improve, advance, or develop services provided by pharmacists and pharmacy teams. So I invite you to really look into the global humanitarian framework that has been provided to you for free by FIP. We also have policy statements that support the development of policy on a local, national level. If I can go back to the slide, please, Noor, just highlighting that we do have a policy statement on the role of pharmacists in disaster and emergency management. Please do have a look at that. If you're working in the policy sector, regulation, or a key stakeholder in your profession, please do have a look at some of the recommendations that have been agreed upon by a global body. We provide an array of digital events, colleagues. I invite you to check out our events page to get a feel of some of the insights, some of the experiences that are shared through these events that really might resonate with a lot of you. A lot of the work that we do at FIP is underpinned by our mission to collaborate and partner with our members, with our partners from around the world. And so if any of you on the call or listening in afterwards wants to find out more, please do reach out to us by writing to us as well. We would love to hear from you. And some of you might wonder, so what can FIP do? What does FIP's commitment look like in supporting its member organizations or members or colleagues that are perhaps facing atrocities, working in humanitarian settings? And so, as I said earlier, FIP's commitment is underpinned by its members' requests, by its members' needs and priorities in the various situations. And so in response to different crises, and in our tailored response to different crisis and disaster situation, FIP generally commits to supporting the pharmacy organizations or our member organizations with an overview of the skills that pharmacists might need in working in disaster preparedness or emergency situations, because oftentimes we find ourselves in humanitarian settings unexpectedly, of course, and we're finding ourselves to be able to be required to serve the public, and particular knowledge and skills might be of need to do so appropriately at the time. FIP also commits to liaising with national ministries, ministers of health, and other relevant stakeholders to increase the impact of outcomes for pharmacists working in these settings. We commit to creating visibility of the specific role of pharmacists and how they are working as part of a health professional teams as well from around the world, and how they're engaged in humanitarian activities. Such an example is this particular webinar, where we're bringing together a few colleagues from around the world to share their own experiences in humanitarian settings. We also commit to sharing amongst our FIP member organizations any opportunities for engagement, for collaboration, for sharing of success stories, even though there might be grim in some areas, but there's also some success coming out of some of these experiences that other colleagues might be able to learn from or reflect on. So we commit to promoting that kind of collaboration and shared experiences. We continue to engage with our stakeholders and empower our regional and national leaders through our membership base to strengthen humanitarian work where possible. And as I mentioned earlier, FIP commits to promoting interprofessional collaborative work in humanitarian settings. And it is one of actually the development goals that we that drives advancing the profession worldwide. Thank you. We'd like to just share with you on the screen just a few examples of where FIP has responded in disaster-affected areas and humanitarian settings. They range from our support to countries such as our colleagues in particular in Afghanistan, Lebanon in recent years, but also through the African Pharmaceutical Forum to Sudan, Ethiopia. We've also offered support to those in need as a result of the war in Ukraine. We also have provided some FIP statements in collaboration with other global bodies such as the World Health Professions Alliance, statements on the conflict in Gaza. We have provided also support to our colleagues in Lebanon following the Beirut port blast. We have recently, as an example of a digital event where we have highlighted the importance of maintaining pharmaceutical supply chain resilience in the humanitarian crisis, which was actually a culmination of discussions with some of our members in Brazil following Brazil's floods. So these are just some of the examples that I wanted to share with you today, and please do explore further examples by visiting our microsite, which my colleagues are supporting you with the address through the chat box. Thank you. With that, on behalf of FIP, I'd like to thank you for listening to my segment, but also want to highlight that today on World Humanitarian Day, we have launched an FIP campaign to highlight some of our colleagues' experiences, initiatives, activities, reflections, thoughts from the ground, from different countries around the world. And they are in the form of short videos. We invite you to go onto our website to watch all of them. We also are proud that our CEO, Dr. Catherine Duggan, has also provided some important remarks on this important day and has been launched via a social media post earlier this morning. So again, welcoming you to explore, listen and reflect on all of these resources that have been collated for you, especially for today. With that, as I mentioned at the beginning of my segment, that what binds us all is our shared humanity. We invite our colleagues from around the world, the public, the patients that we serve, that whenever they think about humanity, they also think about pharmacy, and they think about the trusted, the professional, the accessible role that pharmacists play, oftentimes at the front line, often the only lifeline available to individuals and the public in such situations. With that, and as you think about humanity, think pharmacy, I'd like to just conclude my segment with a short clip from a colleague pharmacist in Gaza who has found herself in humanitarian catastrophe. Here are her words. Thank you so much, and over to Noor. Thank you.
في اليوم العالمي للعمل الإنساني ومن قطاع غزة المنكوب، حيث يقدم الصيدلي خدماته الصيدلانية لأسرته الكبيرة من كافة مواطني القطاع، فما أصابهم أصابه. الصيدلية أصبحت خيمة للإيواء وصرف العلاج وتقديم المشورة الصيدلانية. زملاء الصيادلة، مخاطرتكم بأرواحكم لا يفيها أي تقدير. دكتورة هبة الحداد، نقابة صيادلة فلسطين غزة.
Thank you, Dr. Hiba from Gaza, for those very poignant words. And with that, I would like to introduce our next presenter, who unfortunately wasn't able to make it due to work commitments that have arose from the ground. Mr. Sam Okio, who is a project manager at Médecins Sans Frontières based in South Africa, found himself tied with work duties this morning and sent his apologies for not being able to be with us live today, but he has kindly provided us with a video clip that we are delighted to be able to share with you today. Thank you very much. Over to you.
Thank you very much for the introduction. A very good morning, afternoon, or even good evening from wherever you're joining this webinar from around the world. It is a great honor to be here and to take part in this webinar. But I do apologize that I'm not able to be with you live, as I am currently on a mission and sadly my current location has minimal internet access. So for my presentation today, we will explore the unique contributions pharmacists make to MSF missions, the challenges and enablers in humanitarian work, the initiatives MSF has implemented to integrate pharmacists into its teams, and finally, some of my recommendations on how pharmacists interested in humanitarian work can potentially prepare themselves for this rewarding path. So, without further ado, let us embark on the journey together, envisioning the difference we as pharmacists can make in the lives of those who need it most. As introduced earlier, I work for MSF, and just to ensure we're on the same page, I'm going to give a very brief background of MSF before delving into my talking points. So MSF, or Medicine Sans Frontiers, is a global movement dedicated to delivering emergency medical assistance to those in dire need. Our teams, comprising of tens of thousands of health professionals, logistic experts, and administrative staff, are united by our charter, guided by medical ethics and the principles of impartiality, independence, and neutrality. Founded in 1971 in France by a group of doctors and journalists, MSF was born out of a response to war and famine in Biafra, Nigeria. So this is a country in West Africa, as shown on the screen. So from a small group of 300 individuals, we have now grown into a worldwide network of over 67,000 people working in over 70 countries. Our mission is clear: to ensure that no one is denied healthcare because of conflict, epidemics, disasters, or exclusion from medical services. Our principles are rooted in the belief that every human being deserves quality healthcare regardless of their background, and since our inception, MSF has treated over 100 million patients, continually advocating for those neglected by the global health system. Our commitment was recognized when we were awarded the Nobel Peace Prize in 1999, which was a true testament to an unwavering dedication to humanitarian work. So you might be wondering, Doctors Without Borders sounds amazing, but why are pharmacists there? I mean, the name is Doctors Without Borders and not Pharmacists Without Borders, and this might be a reasonable thought. But pharmacists are not just essential, they are indispensable to MSF humanitarian missions. Here's how. Firstly, medication management and optimization. Pharmacists ensure optimal use of medical resources, meticulously managing medical stock to prevent shortages and wastage. They oversee the procurement, storage, and distribution of medications, making sure that each pill reaches its intended patient, no matter where they are in the world. Next, we have clinical expertise. Pharmacists' deep understanding of pharmacology and therapeutic is crucial, as they assist in providing direct patient care, advising on the best use of medication, and vigilantly monitoring for adverse effects. Pharmacists' expertise is essential in managing complex medication regimens, tailoring treatments to the specific needs of each patient, and ensuring they receive the best possible care. Next, we have public health initiatives. Pharmacists extend their impact beyond the clinic or hospital, ranging from playing a role in antimicrobial stewardship programs to combat resistance, all the way to vaccination campaigns that protect entire communities. Pharmacists' role is also pivotal in liaising with governing bodies and other healthcare professionals, ensuring the safe and effective use of medications on a large scale. Lastly, we have support in diverse settings. Whether in field hospitals, outreach clinics, or even coordination centers, pharmacists adapt to any environment. Pharmacists' role is versatile, from direct patient care to strategic planning and policy implementation. Pharmacists' dedication to humanitarian principles shines through in every setting, but having said this, it's not always easy. As a pharmacist in MSF, you face challenges such as resource scarcity, where in many regions, medication and supplies are scarce. Therefore, you need to innovate, managing with limited resources and finding ways to provide the best care despite the shortages. Next, we have logistical complexities. The journey of medical supplies can be full of delays and challenges. You need meticulous planning and adaptability to ensure their medications reach their destination without fail. There's a really nice FIP webinar which hits the nail on the head with regards to this topic, and I would definitely advise anyone who is interested to go check it out. Third, we have unstable contexts. Operating in conflict zones or disaster-stricken areas means you will often face volatile and unsafe conditions. Your resilience and situational awareness are crucial in navigating these challenges. Fourth, you have cultural and language barriers. Understanding and respecting the cultural context of the communities you serve is essential for providing compassionate and effective care. This is where effective communication is key. So even though we face all these challenges, on the other hand, we also have strengths that we embrace as pharmacists. Strengths such as strong professional training. Pharmacists' rigorous education equips us with the skills needed to tackle a wide range of challenges. The training is also the foundation enabling pharmacists to manage medical and logistical hurdles with confidence. Next, we have interdisciplinary collaboration. By working closely with doctors, nurses, and logisticians, not only are problem-solving capabilities enhanced within the team, but also we see improved patient care. This teamwork is the heart of MSF approach, fostering a synergy that drives success. Next, we have competency frameworks. The FIP competency framework provides a solid foundation, standardizing practices and offering clear guidance to support pharmacists in humanitarian settings. The full document is available on the FIP humanitarian page, and I will definitely advise pharmacists interested in humanitarian work to use this resource. So in addition to the strengths that we as pharmacists embrace, we also have strategic initiatives from MSF which also empower us as pharmacists. We have structured roles and responsibilities, where clear roles within the pharmacy team, from field pharmacists to mission pharmacists and even regional coordinators, streamlines operations and enhances medication management efficiency. We have training and competency development. As MSF prioritizes continuous professional development, it offers tailored training in clinical skills, supply chain management, and leadership. This ensures pharmacists are well prepared to face the unique challenges of humanitarian work. Next, we have collaborative frameworks. MSF promotes a collaborative environment where pharmacists work alongside other healthcare professionals. This interdisciplinary approach ensures comprehensive patient care and optimal resource utilization. Next, we have advanced logistical systems. By implementing sophisticated logistics and supply chain system, MSF enables pharmacists to manage medical supplies effectively, ensuring stock levels are optimal and responsive to changing needs. And lastly, policy and advocacy. MSF advocates for the recognition of pharmacists' roles in humanitarian settings, ensuring your expertise is fully utilized. This advocacy helps integrate pharmacists more deeply into the healthcare delivery process. So for those of you who are inspired to join this noble cause, here are some of my key recommendations to prepare for a career as a humanitarian pharmacist. First and foremost, gain relevant experience. Experience in diverse healthcare settings is invaluable. Volunteer in local or international health projects to gain practical insights into the challenges and rewards of humanitarian work. Next, pursue specialized training. Seek out training in humanitarian health, public health, and also disaster response. Familiarize yourself with the frameworks like the FIP competency framework that we've just gone through the previous slide to understand the required skills and competency. Third, develop flexibility and resilience. Humanitarian work is extremely unpredictable. cultivate flexibility, problem-solving skills, and resilience to adapt effectively to changing conditions. Fourth, enhance interdisciplinary skills. Strong communication and teamwork skills are essential. Building relationship with a diverse range of professionals is crucial for successful missions. And lastly, stay informed and network. Keep updated on global health developments and humanitarian aid. Join professional organizations, attend conferences, and network with peers to stay informed and connected. For example, the FIP Congress happening in Cape Town in September can be a great place to start, or attending webinars such as this one. By following this recommendation, you'll be well prepared to embark on this fulfilling journey, contributing your expertise to make a tangible difference in crisis-affected communities. In closing, your journey as a humanitarian pharmacist is not just a career, it is a profound commitment to humanity. It is a chance to utilize your skills, to push the boundaries of what is possible in healthcare, and to bring hope to those who need it most. Pharmacists make a difference, turning challenges into opportunities and saving lives one medication at a time. Thank you for listening, and thank you to the FIP team for organizing this amazing webinar. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sam. And I felt like you were actually present with us. What a wonderful presentation that has covered not just your experiences, but also recommended resources, guidance, and advice to all of us listening, and great work from the ground. Thank you so much, Sam. Wishing you all the best. Now it gives me great pleasure to introduce our next speaker, Dr. Ahmed Amro, who is the Dean of the School of Pharmacy at Al-Quds University in the occupied Palestinian territories. Dr. Ahmed, without any further introductions, your bio is in the chat, but I'm absolutely delighted to have you with us from Jerusalem. Welcome to the call, and the floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dalia, and good afternoon, everybody. Good morning for those who are in different areas, and thank you for the invitation, and thanks for the FIP for organizing such kind of interactive events that are putting people together from different disciplines and sharing some ideas at the professional, academical, and research levels. So I am really happy to be with you today, and I hope that I will present something that will be interesting for all of you and will create and initiate a nice discussion, and will be also inspiring for all the new generation of pharmacists, as well as those who are experts in the field. So I will talk about the role of pharmacists in humanitarian aid, and I will give a focus on Gaza Strip. I am based now in Jerusalem, in Al-Quds University. I am the Dean of the School of Pharmacy here, and I also studied in Gaza Strip in Al-Azhar University 25 years ago, and this university is not presenting anymore because it was destroyed. So I will give an overview about the role of the pharmacist in this or during these conditions, and how we are handling our crisis in Gaza Strip, and give some information and raise up discussion that might be of interest for you. So I will give an overview about the humanitarian crisis in Gaza Strip, what is going on there, and I will highlight the critical role of pharmacists in both healthcare delivery and education during times of conflict. And our objective, or main objective, is to explore the role, the educational and training needs of pharmacists in humanitarian roles, with a focus on the current situation in Gaza. So I will give some interesting information, and I ask all of you to bear in mind the talk from our colleague Hiba Al-Haddad, which sent us a recorded video from Gaza. So I will also build on that video, but from the educational point of view. Since I am in the academia, or involved in the academia, I will give you some overview about the pharmacy education during this war. And of course, we'll talk about the role of pharmacists during this conflict. First, the educational and training requirements of pharmacies or pharmacy has three main components or three main key points. The core component competences, and the core competences include all knowledge in public health, emergency medicine, logistics, and crisis management to function effectively in humanitarian settings. That's a general key point. And also we have the cultural competence, which means the understanding of cultural and social dynamics in crisis regions is essential for effective service delivery. So the pharmacist should also have these cultural competencies during the crisis. And the remote learning. So the remote learning, due to the destruction of educational facilities, the importance of online learning has increased in order to compensate what has been seen in real life. So educational and training requirements here, pharmacies, schools in the West Bank, including Al-Quds University, are offering free online courses to students in Gaza Strip. Of course, after the conflict or after the war started, there was an initiative from the Palestinian Ministry of Higher Education and Scientific Research to offer the students in Gaza Strip free online courses on not only on pharmacy, but of course on different disciplines and different topics. And we'll talk about this, of course, later, but just a kind of, talking about the requirements. Courses focuses on theoretical knowledge, of course, without being able to implement any practical or to provide any practical competencies to the students there. So this initiative is supported, of course, by the Palestinian Ministry of Higher Education and all universities in the West Bank, and some, of course, of our colleagues and professors in abroad who are also willing to collaborate with the people in Gaza as a pharmacist and in also different disciplines. So courses are offered for free and professors are teaching voluntarily. It means that this is a very nice model of solidarity between people, not only in Gaza and the West Bank, but also in different or in many areas around the world who are really, and professors, of course, who are really willing to help the people in Gaza Strip. So challenges involved in this process is the destruction, or first of all, the destruction of the infrastructure. You might all know that all universities, the main 5 universities in Gaza Strip, have been either completely destroyed or severely damaged, making it impossible to conduct in-person classes. So as you've seen in the television during the past 9 months, that all universities in Gaza Strip are now, some of them are actually completely destroyed. They are not existing anymore as a building, of course. Rebuilding efforts, according to recent reports, we need at least 3 years to have universities and restart academic life. Assuring the war stopped last month, so that was a report from the last month. Assuming that this war stopped the last month, we need 3 years in order to rebuild universities and to start the online or the face-to-face classes. But as you see, the war is still ongoing, and the possibility to do that is still unknown. And access to education, the lack of practical training is a significant challenge. It's not, pharmacy is a profession and we need the practical training, but we cannot offer that online in a good way. So access to education, while theoretical courses are provided online, students miss out the essential hands-on experience, crucial for the pharmacy education. Voluntary efforts. So professors in the West Bank are stepping in to fill the educational gap, teaching courses with dedication and passion. So challenges including managing online classes with limited resources and ensuring students are adequately prepared despite the absence of adequate internet connection, practical training, security, emotional stability. And I want to talk about my personal experience with that. So I offered a course in pharmaceutical microbiology where 28 students were engaged, but finally we came up with only 2 students who could attend the class due to the lack of internet connection, or some of the students were actually killed before the start of the course, and I get a very tough time in order to make this course successful. And I think, but at least, I mean, we showed a lot of solidarity with our students there, and despite the difficult situation and the difficult conditions they are living in, I think this was at least something that we can offer to them in this time. And all of that was voluntary, all of that was unpaid from anybody, but it was a voluntary work to support students in Gaza from different colleagues and professors in the West Bank and in different areas in the world per se. So, pharmacists' role in education during the war, community support. The pharmacists in Gaza are not only healthcare provider but also educators. You know, I'm in contact with many colleagues in Gaza who are working as pharmacists, but now they are working and playing a role of medical support, and some of them are treating diseases and acting or jumping into the profession as a doctors. So the role, or they play a dual role, offering medical care in camps and shelters, while also educating the community on essential health practices. So they are involved in training and supervising healthcare volunteers, ensuring proper medication management and distribution. They are also working with the international institutions and NGOs in supporting. They are playing an excellent role. They need your support. They need our support. I mean, with talking to them, I really like the video by Hiba Haddad, and I would love to thank her and support her from the bottom of our hearts, not only in Al-Quds University, but from all the universities in the West Bank, and also pharmacists in the West Bank. And I do also asking you to support all our colleagues in Gaza Strip in that direction. So the innovative solutions also created by pharmacists in Gaza Strip, so giving the scarcity of resources, pharmacists are providing guidance on using household materials and herbal medicines to manage infectious and chronic diseases. I will give you one example to treat scabies. Scabies, for example, which is now very, very endemic in shelters and camps. So they are now inventing, or let's say implementing, some household materials like vinegar, like applying some acetic acids from the houses in order to prevent or to treat the scabies. They are also using castor oil as a repellent. All of these ideas were brought by pharmacists to the shelters and camps in the West, or in Gaza Strip. So remote guidance, as well as pharmacists are receiving ongoing advices and support to develop educational materials and strategies for managing health issues in crisis settings. They are working also in different institutions to provide this kind of education and training and support to other colleagues and to other people in shelters and camps and other places. Opportunities in humanitarian pharmacies. So pharmacists are critical in managing the supply chain of medicine, which is very important. And they are also serving as frontline healthcare providers. I don't have statistics about the number of pharmacists who were killed during their missions, but of course there are many, and there are a lot. Often stepping into role typically reserved for doctors due to shortage of medical staff. You know, more than 300 to 500 medical doctors were killed by the Israeli soldiers during this war. So they are somehow compensating, or pharmacists trying to compensate that role in a way or in another, at least to offer the people some medical help. Involved in educating other healthcare workers and public on the proper use of medicine and disease prevention. So this is also very critical in this time in order to give them a kind of, support. And long-term impact in the experiences and knowledge gained by the pharmacists during the crisis will be also invaluable in rebuilding and strengthening the healthcare system in Gaza post-crisis. And this is very important after the war stopped. So we need them, and we need to support them in order to take a lead to rebuild the health system and also to participate in serving our people in Gaza Strip. So challenges in supporting recovery need the health infrastructure. As you know, all universities were destroyed, with more than 500 academics and professors were killed during this war, and more than 3,000 university students were killed. So all of that have challenges on rebuilding all of that, or trying to bring the life to the universities and especially to pharmacy education, which is very crucial and very critical for the coming days, or for the coming, of course, years, in order to to rebuild the healthcare infrastructure, and also for the educational recovery of the educational system in Gaza Strip. So ongoing remote learning will need to continue until physical infrastructures are restored. So we might need the help of all of you in order to participate in an online platform to teach and to educate, and also to train our students and our colleagues in Gaza Strip as much as they need from our side. So community resilience also is, pharmacists will play a key role in helping the community recover by continuing to provide education and health and wellness support, mental health initiatives, and participating in rebuilding all of that. Our recommendations from this talk, and I hope I'm not talking more than the time limit, I'm not exceeding that. So we need curricular development, which may suit the situation after that for the pharmacy education. We need a collaboration at many levels, at the national, regional, and international levels, in order to rebuild the universities and to rebuild the curricula and to adapt these curriculums according to our needs after the conflict. And so we need a support for Gaza, as well as continue to provide online learning is something crucial for them, and to be able to implement such kind of educational system. In conclusion, the resilience and dedication of pharmacists and educators in Gaza are crucial in maintaining the healthcare and education during the crisis. The collaborative efforts between the West Bank and Gaza highlight the importance of solidarity and shared responsibility in times of crisis. So we also call all pharmacists from all over the world to join any initiative, which is upcoming initiative, of course, to support our colleagues in Gaza Strip. So the call for action, continued support, and innovation and necessary to ensure the future pharmacists as well prepared for humanitarian role. At the end, I would like to thank you all for your listening, and would like to thank the FIP crew for their technical support, and also, of course, our beloved colleague, Dr. Dalia Bajes, for the invitation to attend this meeting, to attend this workshop. Thank you so much, and enjoy your talks and listening. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Amro. I think the presentation you presented on the role of the pharmacist, the education need as well that we can't forget, and the challenges that are faced during those disasters is extremely important. And I'm looking forward for the panel discussion later on to really query your background on that. Next now will be Abda El-Amin. She's a program manager at Eastern Mediterranean Venue Foundation in Sudan. So without any further ado, Abda, the mic is yours.
Thank you so much. Hello, everyone. My name is Abda. First of all, I'd like to thank FIP for inviting me to participate in this event. And I hope that this session will be informative and beneficial to all of you. Thank you. Okay, today I'll talk about the pharmacy practice during Sudan crisis. Okay, first of all, we all know that crisis will affecting regardless where it is in Sudan, in Palestine, or in Yemen. A crisis or war is affecting all of us, not only the pharmacists. But today I'll speak about Sudanese pharmacists and how the crisis is affecting them professionally and personally. There is a lot of things that crisis affecting them, but I'll highlight 2 points or important points. First of that is that before the war began, there were a lot of job opportunities, but now it's fewer. This is due to a variety of reasons. Like a lot of companies have gone out of services, and other companies reduces the number of their staff, and also there is a jobs like medical representative. In the past, it's only performed by pharmacists, but now it could be performed by any salesperson. So this result in that the pharmacist will be forced to work in another areas not related to pharmacy. So this will definitely affecting the pharmacist personally and the pharmacy profession as general. The next point is that also prior to the war, there were numerous opportunities in personal and professional growth. There were a lot of training activities, courses, conferences, and also internships opportunities, as well as continuous professional or CPD programs. But due to the war nowadays, these opportunities or resources are limited a lot, and this affecting the qualification of new graduates and also the development of the pharmacists and going in their career development. I mean. Next slide, please. There is a lot of ways or many ways to support the pharmacist to recover, both personally and professionally. One of these things is supporting the development of new ways of medicine supply chain. As we know, like in the war, there will be a lot of, there will be a big problem in medicine supply or the availability of drugs. And this actually is in Sudan. It was before the war, but after the conflict happened, there is a big issue in this thing. So by supporting the supply of the medicines, this will benefit the pharmacist personally in boosting their job opportunities and finding work, and definitely will making the medicines available and help in solving the problem of medicine shortage. Second point is supporting Sudan's pharmacist training system. As I said, there is a problem in the training nowadays, because both offline or practical training and hands-on, and also the online trainings is negatively affected. So by supporting the training system, especially in the area of emergency response, this will help in qualifying or making the pharmacists more qualified, especially the new graduates. By the way, nowadays there is a problem in the education, the university educations, but there is like online and online education, but with a lot of problems. So by supporting the training, it will definitely benefit the pharmacists, both the undergraduates and postgraduates. And this also creates a new pathway for the pharmacists to work in the training sector. Last point is nowadays in Sudan we have a big issue. It's about internet connection, because internet connection is important in learning and development, and also in the education for the university students, and also for the continuous professional development of the pharmacists, and for example, online trainings and researches and all this stuff. And the big important thing, or the big impact that internet connections affecting that thing, is that we have in Sudan before the war, the pharmacists rely on the social media groups in providing information about drug availability, because we already have problem of medicine shortage. So the pharmacists are trying to answer questions of the patient about where I can find this drug. So if anyone working in a community pharmacy and having this drug, so he or she can reply. So by these low resources, like social media groups, it has a great impact. But with the internet connections, this really a critical problem nowadays. Next slide, please. Thank you. Okay, there is an opportunity for Sudanese pharmacists to contribute in humanitarian aid. Before the war, there is a problem in health system generally in Sudan. For example, the majority of health services and healthcare workers, including the pharmacists, were concentrated and focused in Khartoum, which is the capital city of Sudan. In relation to other states and rural areas, which has not receiving these services enough, is not having this enough, and the human resources or health workers there is not like in Khartoum. So after the war began, and the people moved to these areas, these actually have a positive thing, is that the health care workers, including pharmacists, is moving to these areas. So now it creates opportunities for pharmacists to contribute to the development of the health system in these areas, as well as deliver a wide range of services during this crisis. Last thing that I'd like to talk about is that actually pharmacists can enhance the humanitarian practice. In general, all the pharmacists, but I'll talk about the Sudanese pharmacists and how can they contribute in the enhancement of this humanitarian aid. Actually, after the war began, the war allowed us to recognize that we as a pharmacist, we are lacking, or many of us lacking essential skills required for the ongoing crisis, like basic life aid, basic first aid, sorry. So many pharmacists are selling medical supplies that already found in the pharmacy, and also selling first aid tools and IV fluids, but actually they did not know how to use them and how to like respond to emergency situations. Like, for example, they could not know how to perform CPR for asthmatic patients, or how to give injection or IV fluid or infusion for comatose patients. Although they have all these tools, and with small information or basic skills, they can really save life of many people by the tools that already found in the pharmacy. And can respond to emergency situations, and they can actually participate to participate in these humanitarian crises that happen in Sudan. So inadequate training can hinder a pharmacist's ability to provide humanitarian assistance and respond to emergencies. So thank you so much. Thank you for FIP for arranging this, and thank you also for the technical support. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that great presentation, Abda. It's great to have you with us on the call to share your experiences from past experiences from Sudan, and all the advice that you have also provided. We look forward to discussing more in the panel segment later. Thank you.
Thank you.
It now gives me great pleasure to introduce our last, by no means our least, Dear colleague, Dr. Mohammed Al-Nuzayli from Yemen, who is the governing board president of the Community Pharmacy Owners Syndicate, CPOS in Yemen, to provide us with his experiences and perspectives, advice from the ground in Yemen. Dr. Nuzayli, can you hear us?
Yes, I hear you.
Welcome, and the microphone is yours. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning, good evening, and good afternoon for all. Really, I'm excited to be with you. Thank you for your kind invitation. I will start my presentation under the name or the title of the feather on the wind reforms the storm destruction. We are the feathers, we are the pharmacists. They are the healthcare as a feather in the wind. So humanism represents the basis of medicine through a history beginning from the time of Hippocrates. So humanistic feeling, humanistic character also include honesty, empathy, compassion, and altruism. So this is Mohammed Al-Nuzayli. I'm the governing board president of Community Pharmacy on the syndicates in Yemen. Next slide please. Noor. So we understand, and we must understand the crisis factors. Why? To do the appropriate response. So crisis contain risk, uncertainty, time limited, and severe consequences. So we must understand this nature of crisis. Next, please. We have a complex crisis in Yemen, political conflicts and civil war. So security and crime raised, foreign coalition air strikes, attack infrastructures and civilians directly, embargo and sanctions, which leads to lack of goods and shortage of medicine. Also, due to direct foreign coalition air strikes, 11,000 children were gone or killed, and 50,000 people, civilian people, killed directly, and 800,000 persons died indirectly due to the air strike. This crisis lead to delinquency. That means financial shortage to the government cannot pay or cannot able to pay the salaries, and currency devaluation accompanied by that, price inflation, burnout of pharmacists and other employees, economic collapse, which is decreased the GDP from $3,600 to $630 per person per year. This will lead to a post-PTSD, a post-traumatic stress, high incidence of mortality and morbidity. Also, we face during the crisis COVID-19, cholera, and malpractice. Next, please. As you know, civilians are running terrified in the streets, and the closest and available health facility are pharmacies. So we feel of the people, we feel of the community. This is one picture. This is our schools after the coalition air strikes. Next, please. This is one of the bombing in the capital of Sana'a, in the civilian areas. Pharmacists participates in some reports regarding radiations. Radiations is raised after this bombing. Radiations is cause CNS congenital anomalies, increased in the number and incidence of CNS congenital anomalies as reported by several hospitals. Next, please. See the horribles of bombing. Next, please. It attacks civilian areas. Next, please. The situation was very, very horrible and terrified. Next, please. Modern weapons are used like 35 airplanes. Next, please. Malnutrition, 25% of the people are severe, suffer from malnutrition, which impact on health consequences. Next, please. This is Puthayna, and we put our emotions with Puthayna at that time. Next, please. This is a father hold his girls, dead girls, due to the air strike. Next, please. Next, please. This is the schools also. Infrastructures are destroyed, and the health facilities, 49% of them are out of services. Next, please. This is one hospital distracted by the air strikes. Next, please. Shortage in water and electricity also appeared. So we reach a convention that there is a need for influential official entity or official body to work through it. There was 3 to 4 syndicates working in health sector or pharmacy sectors, but they are not influential. So we gathered with 50 visionary pharmacists and do analysis how we can build a new entity which have some acceptance, participation, clear mission, formal, and we get a membership of FIB or FIB as a professional reference, and we select the governance as a rational decision model. Next, please. After that, we established and found Yemen Community Pharmacy Syndicates, which start its activity as a formal body and without neutral, without any political backgrounds. Next, please. So the framework optimization is acceptance, neutral from political. Participation, we gather all the pharmaceutical cadres as based on definition of FIB and WHO. Clear mission, we have 36 mission to be done in our fundamental papers, formal and registered by through the governments, and we get the membership of the FIB as a professional reference, and we select the governance as a rational decision model. Next, please. Then we start to initiate a communication channels like social media to communicate with our associates and physicians, patients. So we use Facebook, WhatsApp, LinkedIn, X to implement education, guidance, awareness, and putting news, train them, our associates up through the social media, awareness about health laws and regulations, which is important, alert message during air strikes or others, propagate message and generalization, build humanistic approach and infrastructure, build the following: patient rights statements for the first time being, code of ethics for the first time being, code of conduct for the pharmacist, utilize eco model in decision making. Eco stands for economic, clinical, humanistic outcomes. Focus on patient-centered care concepts and transfer the FIB good pharmaceutical practice. Drug shortage with the stakeholders, mainly SPDMA, which represent for the FDA in Yemen. Search new channels for safe, effective drug from new suppliers. Parallel import for the chronic disease and the patient, the drug shortage. Patient education for the alternative drug in absence of their medication. Report shortage in market for the FDA. Produce policy for interchange and substitution, which help the pharmacists in their work. Next, please. Next, please. Ensure drug quality with stakeholder SPDMA, which is the FDA in Yemen. participate in pharmacovigilance reports and market feedback for the first time being, also initiate drug therapeutic committee to establish a real adopted national essential drug list, which is very important in the crisis, highlight bad drug quality donated by organization, so we conserve the patient safety, focusing on quality inspection measures with SPDMA, transcript test protocols for pharmacotherapy use, which is lead to rational drug use, focusing on cold chain transport, and promote local drug manufacturing. Next, please. Ensure drug affordability with the stockholders. Insist on equity of distribution from the suppliers. Try to gather collective purchasing orders to get the least price. Focusing on pricing system reforms, partnership with medical association for best management and arrangements for the situations, provide more than one generic alternative for patient satisfaction, parallel import for crucial life-saving drugs for the chronic disease and rare disease. Next, please. Best practice and rational drug use. Produce a narcotic statements to aware our pharmacists and physicians about the narcotic drug abuse during the malpractice, patient rights statements, SANA 18 declaration manuscripts for AMR, antimicrobial resistant, national substitution and interchange policy, training on PEP humanitarian GBCF framework, and PEP policy and guidance transfer. Next, please. Work with stakeholder to improve education in academic institutions. We focus on curriculum reforms and updating and opening subspecialty in for postgraduate pharmacists. Next, please. Outcomes after crisis: we get affordable, accessible, safe, effective drug, advocate patient properly, improve patient safety, improve quality of life, quality of drug donated by organization, adopted and applicable national essential drug list, afford accessibility of drug that respect patient preference, satisfaction, rights, and their quality of life, improve cadre knowledge, skills, and practice. Now, Ministry of Health and 5 universities open postgraduate programs in clinical, industrial, quality control, medicinal chemistry, which is a great steps for us as a pharmacist in the country. Improve and reform pharmacy curricula, cadre adoption and resilience. Next, please. Now, a day, 35 university belongs to AIM PEP as a professional reference, which assists to learn from the others and improve the resilience with the pharmacists and students. Pharmacists play a good role in COVID, cholera pandemics, and Brexit disaster. Pharmacists regards as a trusted healthcare professional in the front line with trust as a counselor and help in resilience, debate behavioral therapy and manage or repair post-traumatic refugee. We have in the country 3.6 million refugee. Different investors start to invest in local drug manufacturing. Now the license raised from 11 license to 40 license for local manufacturing factories. Readiness to participate in human situations like Ukraine, Gaza, and others. Meanwhile, unfortunately, pharmacists not participate in vaccination campaigns. Unemployment increased due to the delinquency and to the economic factors or economic situations. In addition, that's the income of pharmacists still until now in the minimum borders, in the borderlines. This actually affects the cadre well-being and functionality, and we suggest the need of collective efforts to increase markup and comprehensive plan with government and stakeholders. NGO situation in Yemen during the crisis. As you know, only 51% of the health facilities or institution work. Others are out of services due to the air strikes. 8,300 registered NGO in Yemen are working in Yemen, mainly work in the following sectors: in health, 38 international NGO plus the 4 United Nations agencies represent 81% of total funds, which is around $605 million a year. Food, 25% severe suffer from malnutrition. Shelter and life, we have a number of 3.6 million persons as a refugee. Only 146 international NGO participate in the health response plan in the 2023. Examples of the organization working in Yemen under this crisis: UNICEF, WHO, Gavi, Red Cross, WFP, and the agencies of UN, international agencies or international NGO like MSF, International Medical Corps, Save Children, NRC, etc. When we were at once, I saw a glance behind the storm. So the storm make us to start development and saving our patient and learn from this crisis. Thank you for your joining us and listening.
Thank you very much, Dr. Al-Nuzuli. I think this presentation, what you presented, really showed the reality in Yemen. I think it's opening the eyes of many here. So very, very useful. And your perspective was a bit different, which is also very much appreciated. Thank you. So if I'm not mistaken, now, Dalia confirmed this, we're getting into the panel now with all our speakers. So if I can invite all the speakers to go back on camera. And it leaves us a little bit less than 15 minutes to do so. First of all, I'd like to just take a few points from the chat that were around. I think it's been highlighted by several people in the chat that the work done by humanitarian pharmacists is exceptional. And you all presented different perspectives in highlighting some key challenges that are commonly faced in these situations. I just want to remind the audience, if you have questions for our panel, please put them in the Q&A, and then we will be able to cover those. And maybe I'll break the ice with the first question that is addressed really to all four speakers. Well, three speakers because one is not there. How can FIP, as a pharmacy organization, an international pharmacy organization, better support pharmacists in humanitarian crisis?
So maybe I can support with this as well as Abda. Please go ahead, Abda, if you've got some reflections.
Thank you so much. For me, maybe for Sudan, I think the problem of medicine supply is the most issue that's nowadays happen. So maybe if we can support Sudan in this area, I think this will be a great benefit for Sudan.
Could I speak?
Absolutely, yes.
From my point of view, I think FIB can support the pharmacists around the world by guidance and the policies which we will base on it to learn how to do and select the road in the future. This is my opinion.
Thank you.
Any further thoughts from any of our colleagues about this? If not, I might even just provide a little bit of a snippet, if you like, Sylvain, as to how FIP commits to supporting its member organizations, which goes back to my initial presentation. But also, I think our colleague Sam, who is not with us today, provided an excellent example of different resources that have actually been already used by some of our members around the world. And Dr. Nuzeli, I know that you've used a lot of these resources already in CPD for pharmacists in Yemen. But Sylvain, as you would know, as well as the chair of MEPS, that FIP works in a variety of ways and different channels. And one of the channels, for example, is how do we expose some of the challenges and the experiences of our colleagues from the ground. Additionally, FIP identifies sometimes some ways to support its member organizations, whether it's writing supportive letters to their ministers of health, for example, or key stakeholders. And we only can do that in collaboration with our member organizations. So we support through policy and advocacy. In terms of education and training, we do have a library that is growing in this particular area. And I would like to invite anybody listening to this webinar who is aware of any courses, CPD modules that can support pharmacists obtain the knowledge, equip themselves with the skills when faced with such crisis, to really write to us, because we would be very curious to talk to you about these courses. We do have the provision program at FIP, and we do have the FIP Seal award that can be awarded to such programs to provide assurance to our users of their quality and relevance to pharmacy and pharmacists. So Sylvain, I just wanted to highlight these two areas. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dalia. And there were many comments about getting training for pharmacists. So I think this is very important for the pharmacists, no doubt. That really brings me to maybe another point for our panel as well. So obviously training education for pharmacists is key to be prepared for this. But outside of those, how can pharmacists get better prepared to act in such situation? Often they're not predicted, they're not predictable. Conflicts may arise without really people being prepared for it. Any piece of advice from your experience on how pharmacists could prepare?
Dr. Nuzeli, do you have any remarks about how you can prepare pharmacists in such situations from your experience?
Actually, any successful work must be done through an entity or a body. So pharmacists must gather and form institutions or organizations or entities that represent the pharmacist profession. Then they can work through it successfully. By the way, since 2017, we lead the health sector from that time to now. Activities, initiatives,
Is it just from my side, Sylvain?
No, I think we've lost Dr. Alan Nuzeli.
Okay. We do have questions about education and training as well, Sylvain, and I'm wondering if Dr. Amrou can maybe even comment on some of this from your experience. Dr. Amrou, we have a couple of questions saying that if somebody is interested in providing some teaching support for say pharmacy students, for example, in a different country, say in this case in occupied Palestine, is there a way that people could support remotely?
Well, yes, of course, we will need. I mean, right now we have an online platform established by the Palestinian Ministry of Higher Education and Scientific Research, which also included all universities in the West Bank. But, you know, because of the accreditation, and we wanted this process to be a kind of accredited and monitored, it's not easy to have people from outside the system who are volunteering in this system. But in the future, I am right sure, or let's say in the very near future, hopefully that the war will stop as soon as possible, because most of the students from Gaza Strip escaped either to Egypt or to Turkey or to Jordan or to many countries, and they are joining us online. So there are some kind of process of education, which is monitored by the Palestinian Authority, and the teachers who are giving, or professors who are delivering lectures, are local professors from the Palestinian universities in the West Bank. Till now, there is no official call for external collaboration, but I think in the very near future, we will need that, because there are many initiatives to establish a so-called Global University of Gaza, or the University of Peace, or something like that, where we'll open source for everybody who is willing to volunteer. I know that there are a lot of people who are willing to do something. That's really thankful. We thank those people, but still we don't have the capacity, and still the people or the students in Gaza Strip do not have the infrastructure, either computers or internet connections, in order to join a pharmacy bachelor degree program in a good way to also assure the quality of the teaching. It's also important, because it's not a kind of only humanitarian help, but we need also to have a certain level of education at a good level with a good quality.
That's great. Thank you so much for that, Dr. Amr. That's really helpful for those that have asked that question. Sylvain, we're almost at 30:30, and I kind of wanted to give back the floor to you, and wondered whether you would wanted to make a final question or final remarks from all of our guests in the webinar today.
Yeah, thank you, Dalia. I'll do that. And I suspect that there are still a few questions in the Q&A, so the team will just circle back and then be able to provide that. So yeah, in terms of closing remarks, I'd say that I'd like to thank the speakers today. I think the perspective you brought was very informative. This is what I love about those FIP digital events. It really brings people in perspective from multiple sides of the world, and it is always good and eye-opening to see those things. Thank you for taking the time from all your busy schedules. I know that some of you have very other commitments coming next. Thank you for everyone that have attended. It's at one point we were over 400 people today. This is wonderful to see, and also it does highlight how people are interested to learn more about humanitarian pharmacy and how people can support this. So again, thank you very much. And finally, thank you, Dalia, to you, your team, and FIP to supporting these events, providing the platform for everyone to be able to share their expertise here with the expert speakers that we had today. So again, thank you very much, everyone. And I hope you have all a great rest of your day, whether it's the morning, the afternoon, or the evening, depending on where you are in the world. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that, Sylvain. And again, thanks a million for our presenters today, joining us with the tight schedules and from difficult probably areas as well. And all of the attendees and all the engagement in the chat box, the Q&A. Thank you for your wonderful comments, your questions, your remarks. A lot of them are taken note of to be followed up. Please do write to us if you have any further comments, or you want to help, you want to perhaps participate in anything related to education and training. At FIP, we do have plans to enlarge our library in this particular area. And so we would welcome experts, pharmacists who would be willing to volunteer their time to develop such a resource with, of course, our MEPS section at FIP to be able to provide such helpful resources. On this particular note, I would like you all to consider this a little bit of time left, but our annual FIP World Congress of Pharmacy and Pharmaceutical Sciences will be held in Cape Town this year, South Africa, and it will start on the 1st of September under the banner of Innovating for the Future of Healthcare. And we do have a couple of important segments that will tackle the humanitarian crisis. And we also have new campaigns that we plan on launching in Cape Town to support access to medicines in those areas that are in conflict right now. With that, I'd like to thank the team and thank you, co-moderator Sylvain, and have a good rest of afternoon, evening, morning. Stay safe and well, everyone. Thank you so much. Bye-bye for now.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.